Good morning and welcome to the FDW webinar focused on sound masking. If you're one of the early joiners here, you'll get to get some of the ground rules and understand some of the housekeeping issues, and we'll start the presentation portion in just a moment. But our focus today is sound masking, and we will be dispelling some of the myths, but we'll also be covering a lot of the basics. And we have an excellent presenter. You're not looking at a picture, you're looking at an old picture of me at the moment, but our presenter today will be covering the topic quite thoroughly, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. So please use the question feature to ask any questions you may have. We're going to accumulate those through the presentation, and then at the end of the presentation we'll have a question and answer session, and we'll be picking those questions, and Jamie will be replying to those. We are making a recording of this presentation, and that will be made available to you, and we'll send out information on how you can access that if you'd like to share that with some of your coworkers after the fact. And for our benefit, so that we can improve our webinars, please, at the end of the survey or end of the presentation, please complete the survey and do that before you exit the webinar. We'd appreciate that. We would like to make these webinars as valuable as possible for all the folks that have tuned in for them, and we're always interested to have suggestions on topics as well. So if there are some key topics you'd like to have us discuss in the future and schedule for one of our webinars, please let us know that as well. So I would like to introduce our topic and our presenter, and at this point we have an excellent presenter to cover this kind of exciting topic. And I say it's exciting because the range of applications is so vast. Jamie Ramsden is the AtlasIED project management design team leader. He's with the AtlasIED company, which is a global electronics manufacturer, and they do comprehensive audio solutions for commercial business environments. So very much the kind of customer base that all of you are involved with. Jamie specializes in sound masking solutions, and this is for quite a wide variety of facilities, not always the office environment. He's based right here in Wisconsin at the Mytech Electronics and Communications plant in southern Wisconsin, and he's been with the company for 13 years. So our topic of understanding sound masking concepts in today's building environments, and our effort to attack some of the myths, and who better to bust some of those myths than someone named Jamie. So Jamie, with that, if you can start to topic the myths of sound masking for us.
Sure, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm here today to go over some basics of sound masking, what it can and cannot do, and some of what the overall tuning features that can actually be done through it as well. So with AtlasIED, we are one of the oldest manufacturers for masking equipment. We do offer free design service as well, which we'll cover a little bit later in the presentation here. And we offer many firsts in the sound masking industry. In the early to mid 80s, we were one of the first manufacturers to actually start manufacturing speakers, generators, and even self-amplified units. AtlasIED has been manufacturing masking products for at least 30 years. It's actually been a little bit over 30 years now. We are the largest domestic manufacturer of this type of equipment. We have equipment installed at some very large facilities across the U.S., Blue Cross Blue Shield in Harrisburg, PA, New York Times building in New York, and the Exxon corporate building. We have actually over 5,000 plus speakers in that facility, and a few others listed as well. So I guess some basics here for sound masking. It's actually really quite simple. If I can learn it, pretty much anybody can. What we do is we actually use shaped random noise to artificially raise the background noise level in a space to cover or mask sounds themselves. We've all experienced sound masking in one way or another. Try having a conversation in your car with all the windows rolled down while driving on the freeway. The raised background noise from the wind makes it very difficult to understand speech that's in the vehicle. Sound masking basics. You may hear sound masking called white noise systems. This is just one variation of what masking can actually do. Typically about 90 to 95% of masking projects out there for any facility is going to be running a pink noise system. White noise is just one variation of what it is. Sound masking systems, sound canceling systems, which is we're not doing that. We're not canceling sound. A sound blocking system, which is incorrect. We're not blocking sound. For any of the sales guys out there, for a way to market it, you want to try to actually present it as a speech privacy system. Make it quiet or freedom from distractions. We can't make a space quiet by raising the background noise level, but we can reduce unwanted noise in a workspace. This is what your customers are really looking for, freedom from distractions. Reduce the distractions and worker satisfaction increases, worker productivity increases, privacy is enhanced, and private conversations remain private. Who can benefit from sound masking? If you can just, a lot of facilities can. Large open plan office spaces, which will have cubicle farms, large call centers, large open plan space mixed with closed offices as well. Human resources and conference rooms, masking speakers will actually go outside the office, not inside. Hospital patient rooms and waiting rooms and pharmacies, anything that is going to need to be a HIPAA compliant, which HIPAA is a Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is a national standard to protect individuals' medical records and other personal health info. The sound masking market for healthcare has been exploding within the last 5 to 6 years. It's definitely a great opportunity. Libraries, bank, financial institution, lawyer offices, secure government facilities. Just open up your mind and you can think anywhere somebody needs speech privacy, we can offer a solution for that. Any company with employees can benefit from sound masking. Employees are a company's biggest expense. Keeping them happy and productive helps the bottom line. So one thing I want to discuss a little detail here is the radius of distraction. For anybody that's not familiar with sound masking, if you work in an open cubicle farm and you do not have a sound masking system in place, you're going to have about a 45 feet for radius of distractions. That means within that 45 feet, you can hear Brad and Jim talking about the game this past weekend, trying to bug you. The radius of distraction with sound masking on actually cuts it down to about 12 to 15 feet. So the person right next to you is still going to hear your conversation, your words that you're speaking of over the phone. But what we're trying to accomplish is everything that's outside the 15-foot radius of blocking unwanted speech and overall distractions themselves. So the masking signal itself, as I stated earlier, white noise is one variation of what we have for sound masking. Pink noise is the same level in all frequency bands and is used in plenum masking systems that have suspended ceilings and also in open ceilings. It makes the final equalization a little bit easier. White noise is an increase in the amplitude by 3 dB per octave. It contains a lot of high frequencies. This is used for underfloor masking systems and a plenum above sheetrock ceilings. We really need that high frequency sound to actually try to bleed through because the speaker is going to be mounted right above it. What masking systems can do. On a per square foot basis, adding masking to a space is typically less costly than traditional structural methods to improve office acoustics. Sound masking can reduce new building costs. Office walls only need to go to the grid, not the deck. Masking speakers can restore some of the lost privacy when cubicle divider heights get lowered or removed entirely. And using special masking equipment, sound masking can prevent electronic eavesdropping. We actually manufacture a surface mount transducer, which is really nice. It can actually stick on walls, doors, windows, and also HVAC ducts as well too. A few things that masking systems cannot do. They're not going to cancel existing noise. They're not going to block existing noise or make a space quiet. Again, we're actually adding an ambient level boost into the space. We're not going to make it quiet. Eavesdrop on occupants, make occupants sick or deaf, and reduce noise in a space that is already too loud, which is a perfect example for a bar, restaurant, anything that's got a high ambient level. It's going to be difficult to actually try to mask it by adding additional sound to it. We offer 3 keys for successful speech privacy. It's our ABCs of masking. Absorb with excessive noise with higher NRCA ceiling tiles, higher cubicle dividers, better employee office open office layouts. We can block excessive sound with cubicle dividers, keep office doors closed, seal gaps between offices, and also insulate office walls. Then C will be for cover, which is excessive sound with a well-designed and tuned masking system. Where do masking speakers go? Traditionally, a large percent of masking systems will have speakers above the ceiling tiles hidden from you, out of sight and out of mind completely from the staff. The speakers are pointed up towards the deck. They're about 6 inches above the tiles. This offers even distribution of coverage. The masking signal reflects from the upper deck and disperses through the tile. Having speakers above the ceiling grid is an excellent place to hide the speakers, plus the enclosed space works to really mix up the masking signals so hot spots are minimized. Hot spots are very unfortunate for sound masking. If you start walking in and out of sound masking fields, it's going to be very noticeable to the staff, and it's going to cause probably more harm than good. We aim to provide as diffused sound field as possible, so no detectable variations as one walks the space. To continue where the speakers go, AtlasIED M1000 is our 8-inch dual cone sound masking speaker in a black box. They are typically mounted above the ceiling grid. Again, they're going to be out of sight and out of mind. The speakers themselves have a 70-volt transformer on the side. They can go from 0.25 up to 4 watts. They also have a wire lead on the side, which is a conduit knockout. Again, the grid fashion that the speakers are going to be above are typically about 15-foot spacings. For open ceiling applications, the white can that you see in the picture here is our M1000R-W. This is our open ceiling masking speaker. If anybody is standing directly underneath this unit, they're going to basically see a white round cylinder. The transformer selector and the wire leads are actually on top of the unit, so they're going to be out of sight. We also do manufacture a black version now, which is called the M1000R. A network ops center with a raised floor is a perfect environment for masking speakers. Anything that actually has a raised floor, we do offer opportunities for that. We offer some low profile masking speakers. And with our design services that we do have, this is a design I actually did a few weeks ago. I believe this is a call center for a healthcare network. This is an open office cubicle farm. We have a split up between 2 zones. Masking itself is going to be run off of a 70-volt distributed signal. We can actually just break out the zones by separate attenuators that are home run back to where the head end is at. Just to give you a little bit more overall volume adjustment per area. As you can tell, this is a standard grid fashion. These speakers are spaced off about 15 by 15 feet. You have masking speakers for open and closed offices as well too. If you do have any distractions when your office door is closed, you can hear your neighbor right next door on his call. It's wise to actually have a masking speaker above each office. You can also have the open office mask as well too to help with speech privacy. How quickly can I get an estimate of a masking opportunity? The quantity of speakers for a given job is obviously the biggest unknown and cost factor. The M1000 can typically cover about 225 square feet in a normal ceiling that's about 9 to 10 feet, and a plumb depth, which is from the ceiling grid to the deck above, of 3 feet. The 70-volt amp size is based on the speaker load. Again, we are using a 70-volt signal, which is a distributed signal. We recommend the 1-watt tap if you are dealing with anything that is a open ceiling or acoustical ceiling tile. So the speaker load is quantity of speakers times 1 watt. If you're dealing with a gypsum board or underneath a raised floor for masking, we typically suggest about a 2-watt tap per speaker. Nothing higher than that is really needed. You can use an analog generator and EQ for jobs up to 40 or so speakers. We do have the capability for routing paging and background music through the exact same speaker. We have an auto ramp feature and a LAN connection, which is through our ASPMG24 TDB. The auto ramp feature is really nice because that can be programmed for having the masking signal ramp up early in the mornings and then ramp down when people are leaving the office. You can have it close or the unit shut down on weekends if need be and throughout the evenings as well. When masking both open and closed office, which with open areas would be anything that's common or cubicle areas, closed office would be anything that's 15 by 15 or smaller, does require 2 types of masking channels, which is going to be for the 1/3 octave tuning. It can be done for each individual channel. They will require a separate EQ curve. You want to kind of figure in a couple hours for the octave tuning in smaller jobs. If you're dealing with multiple floors, about 4 or 5 hours for the entire job. Do you need special equipment? The answer is yes. Tuning the masking system after installation is by far the most crucial step for a masking system. Too many times we've had a lot of people just go into the system, plug it in, turn it on, walk out the door. It's not specifically tuned. There are some real-time analyzers that we do suggest that is either a software base or dedicated hardware. Software base for an RTA, which will read the 1/3 octave bands. A nice company makes one which is called Studio 6 Digital. I believe it's about a $15 to $20 app that's available for an iPad or a phone. We do suggest to get a separate external mic for that piece as well too though. Dedicated hardware, you can use a company called Phonic, which makes really nice handheld units. I have one of these that works really well. Very nice high quality mic. Or if you want to go for one of the higher end lines, which is a Gold line, they make some tremendous products for real-time analyzers. But again, we want to make sure that we tune the system to the specific masking curves. Which, if we do give you a design, we will provide a sound masking spectra tuning document. This is just one for the open office. This will show you the 1/3 octave frequencies, which what we care about is from 160 hertz up to 8K. Anything below or above that, you can set some high pass and low pass filters on there. You can tell each 1/3 octave band needs to be tuned to a specific decibel level. And we do include the panel height inches for your overall masking signal. So if you do have any panel heights that are less than 60 inches, you typically want to have the masking signal running around about 48 decibel level in the A-weighted scale. Anything that's near 80, you can go a little bit lower to around 44. And we do offer a separate closed office masking curve as well too, which will give you the frequency bands between 160 and 8K. And with our form as well too, is we do give you kind of a step-by-step procedure on how to specifically tune the system with either one of our analog EQs or our digital ones. For support, you can actually head to AtlasIED.com. We do offer free design service. You can go to the support tab and click on the design assistance. You can actually upload your project file need be with some drop-down questions for ceiling heights. That's always going to matter, and how many speakers that we need and the proper spacing. So you'll get a case assigned to you right away, and we do have a team of designers on staff. I am one of them, but that can definitely help you out. Typically a design, depending on the size of the project itself, probably be about 2-3 days to get back to you. We also do offer design examples on our website as well too for sound masking single office spaces, which is just a single generator channel, or we do have our open and closed office masking example as well too. This one's showing our ASP G24 with our separate amplifiers, 1 amp running in the open office area and 1 amp running in the closed office. Again, you do want to have separate masking curves for those. Support, again, you can submit a project directly to our website at AtlasIED.com/support. You want to reach out to a live person, Steve Brooks at AtlasIED.com. He is located in East Coast in New Hampshire. He works remote. He's one of our designers. Myself, Jamie Ramsden at AtlasIED.com. I am based here in southern Wisconsin. And also Tim Burns at AtlasIED. He is also, he just came onto our company, but he is, I believe he's based out on the East Coast as well too. That kind of wraps everything up. You can reach us at AtlasIED.com. You can also email us a tech question at support@AtlasIED.com, and also reach us on Facebook and also our AtlasIED channel on YouTube.
Jamie, thank you. And we're getting a couple of questions. A couple came in while you were talking, and another one's just popping up now. So I'll scan these real quick here and make sure they're not all the same question. But yeah, we've got a couple here. All right, this is interesting. First one. It says, in a closed office area situation, should the speakers be mounted inside or outside of the office? Meaning, I guess, in the hallway area or actually in the office. And what about a mix of open and closed areas? So there's kind of two parts here, and it's a little tricky, but closed office environment situation? Where do the speakers go?
Depends on what you're trying to accomplish with that. So if you do have a closed office and you are trying to mask the speech within the office, you don't want anybody outside hearing the area, then you want the speakers outside the office. If you do have any issues that are between offices themselves, so if you can hear your neighbor right across next door to you, then yes, you want to have a speaker in each individual office. And then a mix of open and closed areas, definitely that's going to be a great idea. Anything that has any type of cubicle farms or open spaces, you can spread a masking arrays out there and run them on a separate masking curve, and then have a closed area running on a separate masking curve as well too.
And we were joking about this before the presentation, but if you've got an open cubicle area and you've got one person who's kind of a loud talker, is it possible then just set the taps a little higher on the speakers that are around that individual? Or
you want to keep the masking signal uniform. You don't typically want to have a little bit hotter in one area than it is in the other area, because that could just end up being a little bit more annoying and obtrusive towards the staff. So you want to try to have it as a very clean, uniform coverage around the whole area.
And as you mentioned too, it's best if it really isn't something that people are really aware of. It's almost a subliminal kind of environment at that point.
Yeah, and to be honest, a specifically tuned sound masking system will actually sound like an HVAC system that's running 24/7. That's basically what it's going to sound like if it's properly tuned the right way. Especially with our ramp up feature that we have on our masking generators, you can gradually have it increase when people are starting to walk in, so it's not in a very abrupt sound right away when they walk in, but as soon as they get used to it and the system's off, we have our corporate offices in Phoenix, Arizona, and we have a sound masking system in our call center for consumer and commercial divisions. We have a kill switch in there, so when people actually come in and we want to demo the sound masking system, we just flip the switch. System turns off, and all of a sudden you see heads popping up above the cubicle panel saying, okay, did the air just turned off? What's going on? They're so used to it, they just become accustomed to it.
I can imagine. Well, I have a couple other questions that have come in. This one has to do with the use of existing speakers. So saying, are there specific drawbacks to utilizing existing paging or background music ceiling speakers? Or the other way to ask that would be, are there some performance and design enhancements and advantages if you're using dedicated speakers for sound masking?
Yeah, so there are some drawbacks when you're trying to use existing paging or background music speakers. Number one is you typically want to try to keep the speakers out of sight, out of mind, so they can't pinpoint where the exact sound's coming from. And also the proper spacing with paging and background is typically spaced a little bit farther than what masking requires. So you're within typically about 15 to 16 feet for masking speakers above the ceiling. That's exactly where you want to have it. So try and use that. You do want to typically have its own primary system, but again, we have the capability for routing paging and background through our speakers that be mounted right above the ceiling grid.
And this one, I guess, is related to the same topic in terms of the physical location and how they're mounted. When we have physical speakers mounted for installations above a drop ceiling, how are they suspended? How are they mounted in that area, in the front area?
Sure, they are suspended 6 inches above the ceiling grid, basically straight from the deck. You can just drill an eye bolt right up to the deck and suspend it. We do offer a suspension chain that's available with our speakers. They do not come with it, but the part number is the MCHAIN 72. It's the M chain 72. That is a 72-inch hanging chain, so you have to just drill an eye bolt right up into there, and you can use the chain with the S-hooks on it to suspend the speaker properly.
And Jamie did that without looking at any notes. I'm amazed. That's pretty good. All right, another one has come in for the tuning curve. Is the specification or specified level for each third octave band, is that A-weighted or Z-weighted is the question?
It's going to be an A-weighted scale.
A-weighted scale?
Yeah, A-weighted scale for the 1/3 octave bands for both open and closed office on your RTA.
Another one is having to do with applications, and they say, I understand sound masking in an office setting is intended for minimizing distracting voice conversations. Their question has to do more with minimizing distractions of a mechanical nature. So they're asking about like an auto garage or a factory area, what are the realistic capabilities, or are there realistic expectations you can have for sound masking in that application?
Yeah, each application is going to be a little bit different. This kind of goes back to the blocking already a sound or masking a sound that's too loud, like a bar or restaurant. This kind of falls into this as well too. Distracting machinery or power tools, it's going to be depending where the listener is at. We can always look at the environment and do a design for you. But if you're right next to a machine and you're out on the machine floor, then no, that's going to be pretty impossible to do anything like that.
This one, I think you mentioned, I think this relates to what you mentioned when you were talking about turning off the sound masking, that people weren't necessarily so aware of it when it was turned on, but when you turn it off, all of a sudden they notice that something has changed. So this question has to do with, is there such a thing as just a saturation effect that sets in, or an ear fatigue from people who work in a level, in an area with a constant higher level noise level from a system that's employing sound masking?
No, typically with the sound masking system, if it's properly tuned, it's not going to cause any type of headaches or any issues. The masking signal is going to be running around 46 to 48 dB in the A-weighted scale. It's not going to be loud enough where it's going to become annoying or give anybody type of headaches or anything like that, so no.
And then you mentioned the programmability, anticipating that an office gets louder during the day, but to what extent, if we have to throttle the system up and down for changing environment, how programmable is that? Is it always by time of day, or are there systems that actually tie it into the ambient noise in the room?
Very good question. We do offer a few masking generators that will give you the feature for ambient mic sensors. So you can have ambient mic sensors mounted in open office areas or closed office areas as well too. The ambient mic sensors will adjust the masking signal depending on what the level is. Our ASPMG24 generator, or generator TDB, sorry, will end up having the scheduler in there where you can ramp it up manually, where you can program it that way, but that unfortunately does not have any type of ambient mic sensors at all.
And then when it's just come in now, they've asked a question. I wouldn't have anticipated this, but it actually makes sense. They're asking, are there any issues with interaction with hearing aids? Are there issues with people who are sensitive because of the hearing aids, I would imagine, to sound masking signals?
Sound masking signals, we haven't gone through many tests where it's going to have any issues with hearing aids. Obviously, with hearing aids, you're going to try to listen to everything that's going on, so there could be a possibility, but we have not gone through any issues with them.
And then a little more elaboration on the tuning process, and we talked a little bit about the real-time analyzers.
Yeah.
You kind of walk through that process a little more here. Someone asked for a little more clarification on that.
Sure. If you have the system fully installed where the speakers above the ceilings, they're all tapped at 1 watt, and you have your home runs running back to your power amplifiers, we do offer a step-by-step procedure on how to properly tune the system. But typically what you do is with the sound masking spectra document that we had above on an earlier slide, sorry, which will show you the 1/3 octave bands from 160 hertz up to 8K. You'll take your real-time analyzer either on a handheld piece or your app, and you'll go through each individual band on the RTA to find out what the level's at. And you need to manually adjust each 1/3 octave band on the EQ within the masking generator, or a separate EQ if you're running one of our analog generators, to the volume of what it needs to be around the sound masking spectra document. So there is a step-by-step procedure that needs to be done, but it will take some time because you have to go through each individual 1/3 octave band for it to properly be tuned.
And these tuning issues really dictate when multi-channel systems are required, is that right then? So when you end up with a situation where you have to tune for multiple environments, that's where multi-channel becomes the factor?
Yeah, so typically if you're dealing with like an open ceiling application, that needs a dedicated masking curve. If you have a acoustical ceiling tile area that for being open office, that needs a specific curve, and then if you're dealing with closed offices, that needs a specific curve as well too. So the tuning the EQ curve is going to be completely different with what type of environment you're actually in.
And then this one, highly specific, does the scheduler allow for daylight savings time?
Yes, it does. The scheduler does.
Well, you've thought of everything then.
Yes.
So Jamie, we have busted a few myths, and a lot of this, I think, falls in the category of having expectations for what is well accomplished. But the applications are really wide, whether it's a work environment or if it's, HIPAA concerns in the medical profession. Lots and lots of applications. And At this point, those custom designs come into play. Usually, our customers and consultants and contractors taking advantage of the custom design capabilities, or are they trying to do the one-size-fits-all approach?
Unfortunately, masking it's not easy enough where it's a plug-and-play system where one size fits all. There will need some design assistance for every type of project. We've designed everything from small single offices up to large multi-floor healthcare areas. So it depends on what the overall head end is going to be and what areas you're trying to mask. Each system is going to be a little bit different. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, comments, feel free to reach me. Few information that we do need if you are trying to provide a sound masking solution is a decent floor plan and a PDF file or a CAD drawing. And this is the information that's going to be actually requested through the website at the support tab. It's a clean PDF or CAD file. You have the ceiling height from the floor to the grid. We need to know what type of ceiling grid material you have, be it a gypsum board or if it is acoustical ceiling tile. And also the plenum height from the deck to the ceiling grid as well too.
I'm going to go back here and give you a couple of those web addresses too for folks that might want to write those down and capture them, and they're certainly available. But yeah, take advantage of some of the consulting capabilities. The topic is a broad one. There are going to be some applications that come up that are a little outside the norm that the folks at AtlasIED can really help on that. So, Jamie, thank you. I appreciate learning more about the topic. I hope the people that tuned in got what they were looking for. But if they have some follow-up questions, certainly they can send them along to, well, they can send them to me and I'll pass them along, or they can send them to you directly. That would be useful. And once again, if there are other topics you'd like to have us explore in the future, please let us know. We thank you for joining us today. Please do fill out that survey as you leave the webinar, and we'll make use of that information to try and make these better as we go forward. Thanks very much, Jamie.
All right, thank you very much.